Je vais en parler.
J'étais mort de rire, quoi. I tweeted that I met Patrick, who is Google's evangelist for OpenSocial. I came back and Patrick Chanezon gets us in his home office, as you can see here, to answer the questions on Seesmic that were asked about OpenSocial.
So my job is a developer advocate, going out to explain all the cool stuff you can do with Google APIs, and Seesmic seems to me a very good tool for it.
Maybe you want to give us a Google OpenSocial for Dummies first?
To be really short, OpenSocial is a standard that was proposed by Google and 18 other social sites November 1st. Programming model and an API for social applications. And we thought instead of shipping an API just for Google, we're going to discuss with everybody so that we can have a standard. And if you look at the history of the web itself was a standard defined by Tim Berners-Lee, HTTP and HTML, and before that, WAIS and Gopher. And everybody was trying to connect machines together and create applications on top of that. The web with HTTP and HTML just created a renaissance in applications that connect machines together. Then you had the Web 2.0, thanks to JavaScript, Ajax, the DOM, all these technologies that were kind of standard in the browsers. You started to see all these applications that connect people together, or that connect people to content, let people create some content on websites. And today, the hot trend is to create social applications connecting people together. And we need a standard for that if we want many of these applications so that people don't waste their time, application developers don't waste their time creating an application on one network and then another one. So OpenSocial is a common standard. As an application developer, you write for it and then you can deploy your application on these 18 social networks, and I hope there will be more. That represents something like 200 million active users. So you're creating this social application in HTML and JavaScript, and you have access to a JavaScript API that let you access to the friends graph. There's a little persistence API in it, and the third aspect is an activity stream. You can get and post to it.
Thank you, Patrick. So that was very clear for the developers. No, I think I got that a little bit. But it could be like any application, right? As a container?
Any social site.
Right.
Any application where you have the notion of friends.
Okay. And so I asked you whether Seesmic should join OpenSocial or not. And I was very surprised by the reactions, so let's go through them.
I took some notes looking at all the videos. On the 9 or 10 videos, there were 3 that were really against and 6 that were for. And then there's David Jacobs, who was first in favor and then against. David, I really hope that I can convince you this time.
From Documentally?
Yeah.
Yes, I do have certain issues, and you only have to look at privacyinternational.org to see what a lot of people's issues are with the amount of data collection that is going on.
So Documentally, talking about privacy issues, first I want to really explain what the scope is for OpenSocial. For individual social sites, you may have some issues with their privacy policies, but OpenSocial is not related to that at all. OpenSocial is just a technical standard that these social sites agree about so that they will implement these APIs and application developers will be able to create their application. It's at the level of HTML and HTTP. It's not at the level of the web application itself and what you do with it. So OpenSocial doesn't concern itself with the policies, and the policies are really open to the social sites. They can implement whatever privacy policies or data retention policies that they want on their site.
So you won't sell our data to
no, what I mean
a third party, like what happened with some sites where you buy something, then Facebook knows and resells it to somebody else.
Yeah, so here I think
and tells your friends you bought a dirty movie at Amazon. No, of course not.
Criticizing OpenSocial for privacy issue would be like criticizing HTTP or HTML for privacy issues. So whatever the sites and the application developers make of it can or cannot cause privacy issues with the users, we'll see. The proof is in the pudding. Right now, OpenSocial is just a technical standard.
So no cookies for 2 years, like Documentally is saying?
So usually there is a cookie to authentify you with a social site but it's not defined by OpenSocial, it's defined by social sites who may implement it. And their policy regarding cookies has nothing to do with OpenSocial. So documentally, please don't be afraid of OpenSocial. It's not a Google-only thing, it's really a technical standard that 18 different sites have agreed upon.
Fair enough.
The next feedback was from Ben, and he's pretty positive about why Seesmic should join OpenSocial.
Or be able to search through all of the Seesmic videos, I don't know, using the words in their titles or just in the videos' titles or descriptions. But that's only part of it. I think it would be extremely cool if you were able to interact directly with Seesmic vis-a-vis recording videos to Seesmic.
What I think he alludes to is to have Seesmic as an OpenSocial application that could be run on other social networks. And that's one of the beauties of OpenSocial, which is taking your functionality, your application, and just transporting it where the user lives today, which is on social sites.
Yeah, put a small version of Seesmic on
or
my site.
You can run it in these 18 different social networks. That's what I think Seesmic should do first before doing a container, creating a Seesmic social application, taking advantage of the social APIs to know who your friends are and show you the videos on Seesmic of your friends.
Cool, so we'll do it. David Jacobs.
David Jacobs. Yes, Seesmic needs to be in this conversation. Thank you, David. I completely agree with that.
I got you like this question.
Ah, and this one is one of my favorites.
I'm here again in my underground bunker.
Obstructionist.
Adrian can't find me or hear me.
He's in his underground bunker.
Listen to me. Stay away from Google. Once they own you forever. Stay away. Got your footsteps.
So this is not even Big Brother now, it's evil.
So I'm calling the Google police for them to really grab Obstructionist. So his IP address is 192. So Obstructionist, it was really hilarious. I hope it's just a joke.
Stay away from Google. He says your name starts by open, right? So you should be like OpenID.
Okay, so he's talking about apps and garbage apps and all that. So there are two issues in that Seth underscores. The first one is about openness. We're having actually discussions with the various social sites that have agreed to do OpenSocial. OpenSocial is a 0.5 version specification. It's not finished yet. There are a few areas that we haven't nailed down. And one of them is authentication. We are still having discussions right now to try to finalize the spec in the next 2 months. And for authentication, I don't think it will be OpenID because there are some security issues with OpenID that we haven't been able to agree upon. But it will be something called OAuth, which is another open standard.
We were looking into it too.
So take a look at the OpenSocial blog. We blogged about this recently, the fact that we're looking at OAuth for authentication. I hope that will satisfy you, Seth, in terms of openness. He says it's not very worthwhile for users because it's more about the applications, and most of them for him are garbage apps. I don't know whether he refers to Superwall or throw food at your friends, or I would recommend you to look at the video of the OpenSocial launch. What we did with OpenSocial is in the 18 container that we gathered, there's not only consumer-oriented social networks like Orkut or MySpace. We also have professional networks like LinkedIn and Viadeo, and the demos that they did were really not stupid apps. These were really useful apps. The example by Viadeo was how do I find a lawyer specialized in mergers and acquisition leveraging my social network. The application by LinkedIn was how do I connect with my friends who are going to the same conference as I do? And then he had also a third type of potential containers for the OpenSocial applications, which are CRM enterprise applications. And here you had Salesforce.com and Oracle. The social software area is really brand new. It's true that the first successful application could be seen as very light and maybe useless by some. I personally find them super entertaining. It's an area where there's a lot of innovation, and when there's innovation, usually it starts with the fun stuff, but then I'm pretty sure that you'll see some very useful application in the future.
Then we had Bear, I remember this one very well, who talks about open auth and security issues.
Okay, so Bear, you very well pointed out that there's no notion of security in the OpenSocial documentation as they are today. Again, this is a 0.5 version of the spec. For the next two revs of the spec, we're looking at adding security in there. What I mean by security is how your application is calling back to your app server. The requests need to be signed there, and there needs to be a mode of authentication, which should probably be OAuth.
So it's funny that people thought I was acquired because I just tweeted I was meeting you, right?
Yeah,
No, we're not acquired by Google, and we're just partnering.
I'm in touch with many companies who are interested in OpenSocial. Again, it's an open specification. I just wanted to give Loic an overview what I'm giving you guys.
Steve says
of what
Google
OpenSocial is about.
You will break the community. Google, we are a little family, and if you join Google OpenSocial, you'll break the community.
I don't see why that would be. If you guys were joining Google OpenSocial as an application, you would just create other communities, Seesmic communities.
Yes.
Seesmic as a tool
else.
Somewhere else on MySpace, on Orkut, on various social networks.
You know, and I think it's our challenge to make the way we want to do it is to let people create their own communities within Seesmic so that they still feel like in a small, you know.
The other aspect of OpenSocial for Seesmic that I see is Seesmic as a container. And then what it would mean is that Johan, who's working like crazy to make your infrastructure scale, would be kind of free to create new features that your users are asking, because some users or some developers could create the features themselves as OpenSocial applications. That's a big draw.
On top of ours.
On top of your implementation.
I think that's cool
of the
because then we have more features done by,
yeah.
and we are adding our API also. So.
And if you in your community you have a few geeks like myself, hey.
So Bill says yes. So I guess you have no more comments. I think we should. That's what he said.
Thank you, Bill.
Then you have Geek Girls who says she loves Google.
What can I say? That's really cool.
We have Amer Top. I don't know how to pronounce Amer Top.
Oh yeah, it depends what you want to do.
He talks about container or not. Export Seesmic functionality we've just said.
So I completely agree with your comment. There are two different areas. Yeah, fear of Google not really an issue. I completely agree with that.
I bet you do.
You guess. Yeah, and he pointed out very well, which is there's no need to have a Google server in the flow.
Yeah.
If Seesmic implements OpenSocial as a container, there's no Google server involved. It's all on Seesmic. And as you said, there are these two angles for a company like Seesmic who has a social network. You can become a social application on other networks and become a container for the API, and I think both are relevant.
We have Dick, who is very negative, a Google Borg.
Dick, you're talking about so Google as the Borg, and a very negative aspect about Google. You're talking about OpenSocial as a system. So again, I really want to stress out that OpenSocial is a standard agreed upon by 18 different sites, some of them really big, like MySpace, and Google is just a participant in there. We had a leadership role into creating this standard, but we're just one of the participants in there. And again, if a social site implements OpenSocial, Google doesn't need to be in the loop. There's no Google servers involved. There's a misperception in the community that Google is taking over social networking. No, it's just a technical specification. The community of social application developers will have a standard that is more widely deployed.
So how many sites do you expect will support that when you launch? Except the 20 initial ones.
I'm having many conversations with many people right now. We're having many conversations because we're a whole team on that. At least the 18 one, if they implement in the next 4 or 5 months, it will be 200 million users. So that's quite a reach.
That's a lot.
What I wanted to conclude upon is to say OpenSocial was announced as it's a developer announcement on November 1st that we did. Right now, you can play with OpenSocial on sandboxes. These are sandboxes, environments where developers can play with application, can create their application, can start playing with the API, and can start developing their application. But it's not for consumers yet, because there are some key issues in the specification, like security, authentication, which are not defined. We hope to have the spec finalized in the next 2 months and to have the first social site that implement it for consumers in the next 2 months.
And if you have more questions for Patrick, you can go to Seesmic. As you can see, Patrick sees the questions.
Looking at it all the time. I wanted to thank you very much for creating this thread on Seesmic.
But you see the point, it's like building a video conversation, and the fact that you answer in real is very interesting, very important.
And these are the misconceptions I just wanted to fix here.
So it's cool, Google joins the Seesmic conversation, that's great.
There we go.
Thanks, Patrick.
Hey, no problem, it was a pleasure.